3. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have citizen input. Is there any citizen that would like to say anything? Please state your name and your address. Yes.
My name is Jenna Ogrizovich, 807 Gragan Place. My input is really just more of a question for clarification. I've previously tried to ask for some clarification on the amendment to the Board of Safety Board. And I tried to understand in the previous study session. I'm still not sure what exactly amendment is being proposed. So I have the code as was passed in the November 2022 meeting. So I'm just curious and looking for clarification on what is the amendment that.
Thank you. And I think that also he explained that before during the study session, but if you would like to do that again, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 main points. One was to make all the detailed provisions applicable to the police, discipline, and chief extend specifically to the fire department and chief as well. Number 2 was to just generally clean up the language. Number 3 was to eliminate the application fee requirement that was in the existing ordinance, which I think, according to input from our chief, needed to be done away with. And then number 4, we added a savings provision to specify that all existing department orders and regulations remain in place and are unaffected by the passage of this ordinance, which was not in the past ordinance that was passed.
So you're adding to it. So it's like an addition to it. So it wouldn't be anything that I have in the current code as was passed.
But there's changes that the language has been revised. It's a significant input.
Okay. So can you? So I have to request again.
Or if they don't approve it, then I have to.
Okay. So just then, as a citizen trying to offer input, I really can't offer input then on amendments or anything as proposed until it's passed, and by then it's too late for me to actually provide any meaningful input.
Well, it's really not too late. I mean, if you have some good input after we pass it today, you can take a look at it and see if there's something that you see maybe a problem.
Right, but I'm just trying to say that would be after the fact. It's already been passed. So trying to have a discussion and trying to be an informed citizen, I have to wait. As I previously tried to ask for clarification before this, and I was told by you specifically that you would not discuss it with me. So it just is a little bit of obfuscation. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented for the minutes of the January 18th, 2023 Town Council meeting and claims totaling $968,698.27? A motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Do we have a roll call, please?
Bob Starkey.
Aye.
Mary Tim. Aye. Patrick Boucher.
Aye.
Annette Lovely. Aye. Mary Tannis.
Aye, the 5-0 count. We have announcements. All town offices will be closed on February 20th. It's Monday, in observance of President's Day. The second thing is Summerfest will be held on June the 8th through the 11th at Central Park. This is a change. We're moving it from Pheasant Hills Park up to Central Park. And the bike parade will be on June the 7th. Next on the agenda are reports from the town council. Councilman Starkey, you have something to report?
It's a couple of things. At some point here in the next few weeks, I would imagine, we'll need a study session. There's some things going on at Safe Village that I think as a group. will
Oh, okay.
decide, the direction that the Dyer will be continuing that organization. Something that had come up about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. I spoke with town manager about, we send out our monthly newsletters about coming up with some type of way to advertise local businesses in those. And since they have to register, we already know where they're at. Perhaps we could get them to send in a small bio. We just randomly pick a half dozen and put them on there. I want to say it was the chamber, correct? David did something several years ago that was like a buy Dyer, BUI, buy Dyer first. Again, as we're looking for redevelopment opportunities, we have a lot of established businesses that are here, and so we want to continue to remind residents, when they say, we want more coffee shops in town. It's like, well, that's fine, but you didn't go to the ones that were here and now they closed up. So, we might want to focus on that. So that may be something that, as that idea matures, we'll roll it out to you guys and see what you think. That's all.
Good, thank you. Ward 2, Councilman Tim.
I would just like to make mention, I had one of the members of our town, Steve Swing, he's the security and safety manager at Faith Church, come up to me and ask if I knew anything that was going on with the curb. We have such a wonderful, wonderful staff with Public Works. I know Jeff Dvorak's not here, but you can take the kudos for him. But I connected the two of them. He spelled it out for them and he brought it back to his council and he said, I'm going to read you the last line in a note he wrote. He just said, "We're so grateful to the town of Dyer for their stewardship, help, and generosity. Thank you and God bless you." It meant a lot to them that they, participated, listened, explained it, and they could go back to the residents that go there and say, "Hey, Dyer cares." It has nothing to do with the church, so to speak, but it is the curve that everybody goes on. So I was really, really proud of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman McShane.
Some of the things that I think in my ward, there's some water issues that I've had some residents talk to me about. Heavy rains coming down, so there's something that we can look at. I don't know if it's the pumps and everything that is storm water, increasing something to mitigate that so there's not as much flooding. Those are some things that I want to talk about here coming up.
And Ward 4, it was my privilege today to be part of a birthday celebration for one of our employees, and that's Pat Rosenwinkel, who works for the buildings department at the police station. It was her birthday, but she treated us on her birthday. She brought in pizzas for several of the departments today. And it was also a celebration of her 20th year working for the town as a part-timer. And we need to celebrate more of those. Pat is a devoted employee. We really appreciate her. And on top of it, it's like frosting on top of the cake. She has also been the chairperson of our volunteer Dyer in Bloom group and has done a dynamic job helping the town look beautiful at all times. And you can often see her outside in front of the EMS building, in front of the town hall, or in one of the parks working very diligently. So it was my honor to participate with her for her celebration. Councilman Ledwig.
So far in my area, I am working with Dave, which has been a plus for some smaller garbage cans from Republic. A lot of the townhomes in the subdivision have big garbage cans that they can't put in their garage. I addressed it to Dave and he's been working really good with it in public. So I appreciate that, Dave. What else was there? Oh, I know we were going over the safety, but I was brought to my attention that the church there in school on 213 asked again if we were going to do anything as far as the safety or any kind of crosswalks. So I would like to, since we are doing something around faith, I would also like in that area, there's been several accidents.
Right, and that may be something as I'm pointing over at Neil here, I have a mock-up, I guess, if you suppose, to call it, in my email, working with, the county, because that is their
That's all,
guardrail.
Yeah.
So our vision is to, where the guardrail comes off of the bridge, swing the guardrail so it goes along the creek.
Mhm.
And then, hopefully, fingers crossed, have the county pay for, thanks for crossing your fingers, because of their bridge. I said, we may pitch in for the crosswalk painting if they could do the concrete.
I know
but-
they didn't want to because they said that it was completely fine, the bridge.
Well, the
So
bridge
hopefully
is
we can-
fine, but if we have, maybe why we're all here, I'll send something to Frank, he can pull up
Sure.
at the end of the meeting.
Perfect.
But I think we have a really solid, inexpensive plan.
Okay.
Forward.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, what else was there? I think that's it. Oh, someone else did mention, in my area about maybe possibly putting a stoplight right by the oncology and Calumet Avenue. At times it's hard to get out of there. I was there just recently, but nothing bad. And they had said, at a certain time, it's always hard for us to get out of there. We can wait close to 15, 20 minutes just to get out because there's traffic both ways. So is there something that maybe we could address? I says, I'll bring it up. I'm going to a meeting today. So, okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk Treasurer?
Yes, I have some donations. We have $30 for the K9 and $5 for the magnets. Oh, it's a K9 magnet. They just have magnets. Okay. Okay, so can I have a motion for $35 to be accepted into the police department?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim. Aye. Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig.
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye.
We're working hard on our annual financial report. My goal is to have it in by next week, which will be a week ahead of time. But it's a big undertaking. We have a meeting tomorrow for our capital assets. With the company we're working with, because the capital assets really has been looked at in almost like 15 years. And the department heads have been doing a good job with keeping up, but we needed to have accurate. I mean, this includes furniture, everything. There's just
Right.
so much. We just want to make sure it's all in line.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was one thing when I was watching one of the webinars on future planning, it was one of the things they brought up is that everybody should have the capitals all written out. And I thought, well, I'm not sure that we do that, but I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, we've
Capital
been
assets,
working
it's
on
very
it for
important.
3 years and 2 months to get
Right.
it in line, but
Yes, thank you. Town manager,
A couple meetings to announce that were a joint effort between the council. First one is joint study session with Council and Parks, February 21st. It'll be immediately following the regular Parks meeting. The Joint Plan Commission Council meeting, March 6th. And that'll be 6 PM. That's also a joint study session. And the resident meeting for the road projects, we're moving along with March 8th at 6 PM. That will be similar to our format of our last resident meeting where the residents that are affected by their construction can be here, look at the plans. We usually have them spread out. Brian does a good job of leading that meeting. Plans are spread out, contact people here from the construction company, from Nice Engineering, from town staff, just to kind of say, this is what you should expect over the next X, Y, Z. If you have anything in your parkways, you need to let us know because it's a good chance it's going to get damaged. So we need to know that ahead of time. It's usually a good time. We limit it to the residents that get mailers that the streets are affected, but it will be an open meeting downstairs here, so we won't turn anybody away. Councilman Starkey mentioned the shop dyer first, buy dyer, whatever phrase you go with, but it brings up a point about leisuregram. We'd also talked about modifying some of the format to it to include a section called like around the community. I know we're a rustling town that's getting big, but sometimes there are some things that are outside of our town that are also interesting for our residents. So we might have a corner that's dedicated for stuff that's nearby. Nothing to promote anybody that's going to be, making money off of business off of, but sort of like a senior citizen program or something at the community center. So look for that format to be changing soon. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Attorney?
Yes, few items, as discussed already, we're, looking at, possible either abolition or, reinstatement or modification of the building corporation, the foundations. And, we're also, the Historical Society, as opposed to the Historic Preservation Commission, is an active nonprofit. We're currently working with them to regularize the relationship we've had because there's been some ambiguity as to whose stuff is in the museum. There's no written lease, who's covered under insurance. We'd like to get all that squared away, and we had a meeting with them, and it was very positive and I think productive. And there'll be more updates on that. All is relatively quiet on the litigation front. No significant action in any of our pending cases. As town manager mentioned, I will be looking at the current existing final preliminary draft of the employment policies and procedures. I have every faith they're fine and compliant. I just think a set of legal eyes would help with that review. And finally, it feels good not to be the only man in a suit. So that's all I get.
Do we have any update on the property on 213 Sheffield?
That's pending. There's a status hearing tomorrow, actually, and I will let you know if we get any dates from them.
Any other questions? Moving on to department heads, and we have Chief Martin and Alcott.
As for the month of January, the Dyer Fire Department responded to 158 total calls for service. We had 973 hours of training. We continued our smoke and CO detector install program and our car seat program. We had one more blue card communication graduate. We will be conducting our skills lab hosted in town, but the South Bend Fire Department training chief will be doing that for us March 18th and 19th. Firefighter Bonk and probationary firefighter Kwasniak passed their EMT National Registry and written on the first try, and they got to shave my head. 11 Dyer Fire Department personnel passed the 48-hour Fire Officer Strategy and Tactics course. Firefighter Minkma and Firefighter Ilyanich passed the Driver Operator series of courses. Probationary firefighter Kwiatkowski began his 11-week fire academy on February 6th. And our instructor one class that we're hosting will be starting next Tuesday at Station 18. And we have 11 Dyer personnel attending that class as well.
So we have one going to the academy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For the month of January, we had 589 incidents, 35 arrests, 26 accidents, 384 citations, 883 warnings. We just recently purchased an updated training system along with our Lexapol that just added on to Lexapol, which put us into an updated system compared to the old videos, the old training. Lexapol will constantly update all new training and send it to us, which puts us better for our CADIS, which is our downstate mandatory training. And it takes less man hours to do it because it's then done by the computers, which will cut back on people being more people being on the street instead of being sent away somewhere for the training. So we're very excited about that. We have a promotion coming up on the next meeting, which is Tuesday at 5 o'clock. I'm sorry, I forgot about the time. At 5 o'clock, we have a promotion to corporal, and we are still moving forward with replacements for our retirees and one person through the academy.
Okay, thank you. Assistant Director for Public Works.
We're creating a sanitary line repair list, which we're working with Nice Engineering. Also creating a hydrant and valve replacement plans, which is also working with Nice. The specs for the right-of-way maintenance program is available to the contractors. Quotes are expected the week of March. And also a replacement employee for the wastewater. They're still doing interviews for that.
Thank you. Park.
The projects, the Elmer Miller Splash Pad the bid opening is this Friday in the main meeting room at 10 a.m. With it being awarded at Tuesday's park board meeting. Central Park still waiting on a few punch list items to close out the north end. The main delay with that was there was a lot of asphalt work. And also I've started taking requests for proposals to finish the landscaping on that end as well, including that the big roundabout. Cherry Hill Park, the playground equipment installation that went out for bid last Friday, and it will be advertised again this Friday with bid opening Friday, March 3rd at 10 a.m. here at in the main meeting room. Excuse me. Autumn Chase Park, it's completed. We have the final payment is going to be before the park board at Tuesday's meeting, so we can resubmit the final report for reimbursement to IDNR for the grant. And then as town manager Hein talked about earlier, we do have a joint study session between the town council and the park board immediately following Tuesday's 6 p.m. Regular scheduled meeting. Encourage anyone who wants to come to come. For our activities, we had our 2-night daddy-daughter dance this month. We had a really good turnout with approximately 390 participants across both nights. And then March 5th, we have our Royal Princess Ball at the Plum Creek Center from 1:30 to 2:45, which we are still accepting participants for. And then it was spoken on the study session. It'll be before you this evening, looking to hire a consultant to help with Summerfest as well as some park activities or some of our special events, including the community market and a couple other things. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Operations, Brian?
Friday, I have our CRS program, our community rating system that gives people with flood insurance policies discounts on their policies. We have our audit this Friday. So I'll be going through that all day Friday. I've been preparing all week for that. Should be no problem. We always do good in that. We're kind of waiting in that program. We're a class 7, and to move any higher, we're waiting for the state of Indiana to pass some new building laws, and I think they're close to finally doing that. So once they do that, if we do a few more things, we can maybe bump up to a 6 or a 5, which would increase the percentage off for our residents.
Good.
Which is always a good thing. No one wants to pay flood insurance. As far as development, if you've noticed, if you've been by the storage facility, the windows went in, the bricks going up. I think it looks good. Stuff's starting to move out there. So they're going to be coming to an end out there, hopefully sometime in April. They're supposed to be finishing up. Our plan commission meeting for this month was supposed to be next Monday, but since we're closed, it got moved to February 27th. And on that meeting, the only thing we should really have for business is going to be Meadowbrook. This next Tuesday, Meadowbrook is coming before the park department because they have one little piece to finish up, the parkland dedication. So it'll be coming to the park department, and then we'll be asking the park department to give a recommendation to the plan commission so that we can get an approval for the February 27th meeting. So Meadowbrook, 35 lot subdivision south of 81st on the east side of Sheffield Avenue should be a nice addition to the town of Dyer. And then I just wanted to, as far as development, I got a call the other day, and on Sheffield Avenue next to Centier Bank, there's one open lot. And the person that owns that came before the town in like 2012 or 14 and wanted to do a development. He's ready to bring that back. So it looks like a little coffee shop, maybe a cleaners he's talking about, and maybe something else. He definitely wants to get there and get the coffee going before the train hits. So it looks like a nice development, a little preliminary plan that I saw, nice all bricks. So that should be coming before you soon. And the plan commission, then also at that meeting at the study session, the seminary is finally going to come and show their plans of what they would like to add.
Coffee with the drive-through.
Coffee with the drive-through.
That sounds like great Ward 1 idea right there.
Thank you. Any questions? We have boards and commissions. We have some in the audience. Kyle Rizzo from the Storm Board, you have anything to report?
No, not at this time. Just, two-stage ditch, we're looking at the possibilities of extending that further north of Calumet along the ditch up there. Might be some nice areas we could have room to do that. So we're looking at that right now. Other than that, not too much beach and talking to Patrick about the issues they're having in his ward. And making sure that's something that we have on our agenda.
Thank you. Park Board?
Actually, the comments about the legacy committee, the park department has been receiving the interest on those accounts twice a year. So I read documents when I was acting with the park department that said that the money from the legacy had been given to the park board only in the interest form of the accounts twice a year to be used at the park board's discretion.
Justin, do you have this documentation?
I do not.
It should be somewhere in the file. It's in the file, Devin.
For tomorrow.
But I know that when we received the check while I was there, I called and talked to Jethro, who had been on the committee, and he said that the money had been given to the park department in interest only, the money remaining in that account.
Okay, and that committee, I guess, gave a letter to the legacy that they dissolved. So
When
it's
they
a whole
dissolved, they
different
basically
ballgame.
did that. They gave the money to the park department in interest only.
Mhm. Yeah, we just have to do, Adam and I and Dave and Frank have to do research to see, because the lady who willed, both ladies who willed money, it was supposed to be used for certain items. And Justin and I have already cleaned up on how things need to come to the clerk's office, because it should have been added into Gateway for the last 13 years.
I'm sure Lorraine put it in there somehow because when we
They just did it as a drop in cash donation, and that's not the way it should have been handled.
basically when he came in, when I called Jethro, he said it was a donation to the parks from the Legacy Foundation.
Yeah, so Justin and I talked about it yesterday a little bit, today a little bit. So we're gonna get it all where it should be.
Okay, thank you. Frank? Utility?
Yeah, I think part of that was covered by Assistant Director of Public Works, Rob Crilly's report. We have sanitary line repair lists that are being prepared that Public Works is working with our consulting engineers, Nice engineers, to get that completed for this upcoming year, to get some prospects for those projects, as well as water valves and hydrants, most of which, some of which I can really say are independent of our road projects, some which will potentially be part of our resurfacing projects that we have coming up, the locally funded ones. So those are obviously underway with the utility. We're working through right now, we hope, in the closing stages of developing a transport fee, a modified transport fee for Highland. That's something we've been working on as part of the overall improvement projects, as well as a fee that hasn't been updated since 1992. So we feel that we're probably within a couple of weeks of having what that's going to be. And then we'll obviously be sharing that with the council once we have that. And then we're going to move on to discussions with the town of Munster. So that's what I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? And we've all been waiting for Neil to report on the road work.
Good evening.
Hello.
We have minimal updates since last month. The 2022-1 CCMG, we expect those to begin by April of this year, plus or minus. The 2023 local, we met yesterday and we're working on those 7 streets. We'll be out to bid on those with an award at your April meeting. The 2023-1 CCMG, we are awaiting the INDOT award on that. We would expect that between April and May. And that's for the areas around Lake Street there. The 2023-2, similar to what we discussed last month, those CCMG, the large projects of Harrison south of 213 to Edmond, that will be application of late summer if INDOT follows their typical schedule, which sometimes they do. What was mentioned earlier, the 213th area directly west of Calumet, we've submitted everything to the county of a plan that the highway department is going to review because that is their bridge. And we're waiting for their review and comments on that proposal. So unfortunately, it's out of our hands right now, but I think we've given them a good plan working with staff.
Do you have those pictures?
Sure.
So it's something that gives the best out of a challenging situation and configuration at that bridge area just directly west of Calumet Avenue.
So you're just moving the guardrail back?
Well,
You're running it this way along the grass.
well, I think that was one of the options, but this one here basically just has a cutout in that guardrail. And so you see the two black boxes that you were, it's X'd out there. The yellow would just be sidewalk from the parking lot to the curb line. Frank, I think there's so then you'll see here, so that'd be sidewalk, but a new crosswalk there and slightly redesigned curb work on the other side.
Yeah, it's not an expensive project. It's not a
Right.
incredibly complicated project, but it's interjurisdictional, which always lends to the challenges.
Yes, yes.
I like that it's farther away from that intersection as well. It's just,
Yeah.
they've been crossing a little closer and this puts them a little bit farther, a little safer.
And this may be too, where we look at, doing some of our own signage with, not unlike what we're doing with the Esper there, it's the 81st something. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Flashing
I think
lights,
just something
Something.
we'll be happy about.
Yeah, I actually talked to the county highway engineer, Dwayne Alverson, this morning, and I know they are working on it. I can't guarantee when we'll get a response back, but it is proceeding.
Thank you.
Right.
The only item I have left is the Central Park and Calumet Avenue intersection improvement that's been discussed. We have the price on that between 1.2 and 1.5 million for the entire intersection. And I got a map to get to Frank for a potential property acquisition at that northeast corner. And once I get that to him, he'll work with the council and the property owner there for what the best way to go through that acquisition would be.
Did that price include the signal?
Yes, signal with
Wow.
preemption. Yeah.
Good.
And then essentially, not only adding the lanes on both sides of the intersection north and south, but resurfacing all the existing asphalt within that area, just so that the entire intersection is done for, 10 to 20 years.
At least.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we, just for due diligence, Neil mentioned 2022-1 by name, but that is Magnolia 214th and Madison for the project.
Correct.
Also 2023 local. I believe there were 7 in there, 7 streets.
Correct.
Northgate, Jackson, Barberry, 209, Tyler, and Polk is part of the 2023 local. 2023-1 will be Ivy and Lake Street that he had mentioned. And then 2023-2, I think you identified properly as the Harrison Avenue from 213th Edmond. So just to give you a heads up on the numbers there.
Which Jackson is it?
Court.
The court?
Yeah.
I will tell you this, I crossed the street on Hart Street over to Pheasant Hills. And interesting, and I mentioned it to the town manager the other day, it's interesting when I cross there, I push the button and I continually watch all these cars passing by. There's usually like 6 or 7, but they all have something in common. The ones that will stop are people that have Indiana plates will always stop. And I think that's something to be noted. And it happens every time I go up there.
I would
So
imagine next
somehow-
month you may have enforcement action on the
We'll
police
get with
department report.
the police department on that, council president. We'll get some enforcement going up there.
Right. Well, you said that there was another solution too, to put some LEDs or
Yes,
something in there.
so there is an option to upgrade that walk system that we talked about back in the installation. There's LEDs that can go along the stripes in the walk that we'll have done for spring. And if you know the rumble strips just prior to each side of it, those are they're not considered they're considered rumble strips and not like a speed hump, but that is an option to put anywhere else in town where it won't affect the plows and won't be as time consuming as that rumble, the speed humps that we went through a while back. So we are identifying a couple areas and a couple curves that may use those rumble strips.
Yeah, that's a good early warning preemption right there.
Yeah.
The other option is spike strips that could be, you may not want to consider that, but it is an option.
I just thought it was
Too many
strange.
ambulances on there.
Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but when I'm looking at plates going by and I'm thinking, somebody needs some help here learning about how to use these.
I will second your motion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next on our agenda, we don't have any general orders. We have ordinances and resolutions. We have a number of them to cover this evening. So we have ordinance number 2023-02 abolishing the Dire Emergency Preparedness Committee. Do I have a motion to approve 2023-02?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig, Mary Tannis.
Aye. Now, can we group these together or what is
Well,
the,
you just approved an ordinance, so you should suspend the rules and
Right,
approve
okay.
them. If you want to take the rest as one, I would do a separate one because you already have a pending
okay,
motion
Okay.
on one ordinance.
okay. I need a motion to suspend the rules to approve ordinance 2023-02 abolishing the Dire Emergency Preparedness Committee.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Now, we can put all the rest of them together.
Yeah, it's the abolishing ones would be 03 through 06. If
Yeah.
you want to have a motion to consider those together.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve 2023-03, 2023-04, 2023-06,
Fine.
I'm sorry, and 06?
I have a question for public record. Do you just want us to type that in or type in what these are for? Public record in the minutes.
Well, I mean, it's on the agenda, and by referencing that, we're referring to the titles. I mean,
Okay,
do you require the speaker?
no, I'm
to-
just asking, just,
Okay,
Yeah, then I would include the titles.
I need a motion to approve 03 through 06.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig, Mary Tannis.
Aye. I need a motion to suspend the rules and approve 03 through 06.
So moved.
The second,
Second.
any discussion? Roll call?
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim, Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Next, we have ordinance number 2023-07, an amendment to the salary ordinance. Do I have a motion to approve 2023-07?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
What were the changes again on this?
Oh, highlighted. I think that they were highlighted.
It was the
So
civilian
20,
per-
so 23 per. What was the change in longevity pay? Was that a? Are
It
we
was-
adding the 30? What was the change on that one?
Would you, what would you?
Go ahead.
Yes, okay. The changes are in green. You are correct. It's the perf contributions changed on the first one, the second one longevity pay. The clause in there of January 1st, 2024 for the elected officials was removed. Page 3, we changed the words from recognized to observed for the holiday, so it'll match our personnel policy. There was a little bit of confusion because we called it in one book, we called something an observed holiday versus recognized. The next page, the entire paragraph that's surrounded in green was added. That's direct language from our personnel policy, our new one. So there's no questions whatsoever when it comes to the holiday pay. The next green is the assistant town manager portion. It is adding the option from part-time to full-time if we so desire at any time throughout this year. We don't have to come back before you. If you know, that was the original plan back in the day when it was started. And then you're gonna have to flip all the way towards page 7 in the back. We added the firefighter EMT full-time, since that'll be a first addition for a year, 2023. You have the full-time pay, the probation pay, and then paid on call is just highlighted because it now references paid on call since there is a full-time reference in there. And then last but not least, by any means, police commission was changed to safety board as far as boards and commissions compensation.
Good, thank you.
And then this way, whatever you guys decide to do, I can start the process of the perfection for full-time hires.
We have a motion and a second. We've had our discussion. Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey.
Aye.
Mary Tim.
Aye.
Patrick McShay.
Aye.
Annette Ludwig.
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. I need a motion to suspend the rules and go back to 2023-07.
So moved.
Second,
I second.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey.
Aye.
Mary Tim.
Aye.
Patrick McShay.
Aye.
Annette Ludwig.
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Next, we have ordinance 2023-08, amendment to the safety board ordinance. And the motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey.
Aye.
Mary Tim.
Aye.
Patrick McShay.
Aye.
Annette Ludwig.
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Need a motion to suspend the rules and approve ordinance number 2023-08, amendment to the safety board ordinance.
I motion to approve 2023-9.
You have a second?
A second.
Any
Oh, was
discussion?
it 8 or 9? That was 8. I'm sorry. I'm
Eight.
ahead of you.
8.
I'm sorry.
Right to your trunk view.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey.
Aye.
Mary Tim.
Aye.
Patrick McShay.
Aye.
Annette Ludwig.
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Next, we have 2023-09, adopt emergency operations plan. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Just for public record. Now that we have a safety board who's only had one meeting, and I know this has been in the works for many months, almost a year, correct? And I know that Joe Martin and Chief Alcott have been through this. But since we have the safety board, should this gone before the safety board with their approval to us? I'm not sure. So,
It's not required to.
okay, that's all I want you to know for public record. So it's in the minutes. Thank you.
May we have a roll call, please?
Can I add something, Madam President, sir? This is you've had this presentation at the end of last year. We also recirculated this at the beginning of this year for review. This again is considered a live document. Chief Martin has done tremendous amount of work on this. Part of the actual plan itself is an annual review, annual training, where it would be logged, any changes, any recommendations. So this is just a great starting point. Everybody who was participant in this is major kudos that this will be in the works and something we can build upon from year to year.
And it takes a long time to read it, but I did read it, so.
It does.
Thank
It's a lot to print out. That's why
It is.
tonight's copies are in paper in your packets, but the electronic format was distributed for everybody else to view. And again, I can't stress this enough that in the downtimes, the fire department and police department and every department, it's not just a police fire thing. This is all hazards. If it's gonna happen,
Right.
it can happen in the town of Dyer. Everybody's gonna have to be all hands on deck. So we need to know what's going on, including the financial department. If there's ever a disaster again, there's paperwork. We've all been through the NIMS class now as department heads. You know that each and every step of the way is important in a response like that. So
You've been working with Lake Central as well?
Lake Central's included in some of these, especially in the reunification sites. I believe Chief Martin and Chief Alcott have taken a lot of suggestions from their plans as well.
Right, right.
Adam, is there anything different we have to look at between the safety board and the old police commission? I always knew what had to go there, but with the safety board being new to all of us, is there certain things that won't go to them that we could maybe have a list on?
Well, nothing's
I
really
know for
changed.
records.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing's really changed except now fire department, general orders will go before the safety board as well instead of the council. But this is a town-wide procedure manual essentially that's going to apply to all town officials and employees. So that's why it has to be an ordinance, which means this
That
council is
part I understand. I
everybody.
just didn't know what the equivalence was posed to them, so I could have it for my documents.
Yeah, it's really no change.
Okay. Have a roll call, please. Yeah, Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. I need a motion to suspend the rules and approve ordinance number 2023-09.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Phew. Now we can move on to resolutions. We have resolution number 2023-03, authorizing the 2022 encumbrances to be carried into 2023.
So moved.
Motion to approve?
Bob motion.
Second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call?
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Next, we have resolution 2023-04, declaring certain accounts due to the town of Dyer uncollectible. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Next, we have resolution 2023.
Question, just that.
Yes, I'm
Attorney
sorry.
Cedia, for internal controls, do we need to let like each one of these departments know that they're not going to be getting that income at any point? Do we send it to those utility boards and water boards? Since it's right enough that they would have been.
Yeah, there's more of an accounting question, a
Okay.
legal question.
So,
We take care,
we'll
take
take
care
it.
of all that. It's
okay, thank you.
Always has.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-05, authorizing Summerfest event planning contract? This is so exciting. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? No. Roll call.
Now, I have a question for
Yeah.
internal controls. In this contract, since this is the first time I'm seeing her, if she's adding any apps or anything from the event planning, is she Justin? I don't know. Just as straight out, we're paying her. Okay,
And yeah, and I would add, she's not authorized to hire any or contract with anyone on behalf of the town.
okay.
The duties are strictly communication and coordination.
So I know for payments, thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business.
Wait, there's no vote on this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Wait, was there a motion in a second?
I don't have
Yeah,
a
there was.
roll call. Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Tannis.
Aye. Moving on to new business, the 81st Avenue Traffic Management.
Just a brief synopsis. You had the presentation in the study session. What is the pleasure of the council to continue Public Works with the presentations, bringing it back for you, whatever your desire is on that topic?
There was a recommendation in there from director.
Right.
Yes, this is the, it seems like, this is the selected blinker chevron from the, director. I do think, if I remember correctly, Mr. Curley, you said there are a couple options, they included not just this one here.
Well, just everything that's in here, but like what are the radar detections?
Okay.
And that actually records the speeds like on the lines that you guys, the police have out there. That records it's detect people's speeds or, record their speed. You could just do with the chevrons. Of course, he's got 4 chevrons here plus the warning. 3 chevrons. I mean, you could just break this down, I guess, a little bit, or do the whole thing for that amount of money. That's kind of up to.
Anybody have any comments, any discussion about it?
If you're looking for a motion on this, would it be acceptable just to make a motion to proceed with the recommendations of the Public Works Department? I don't know if you want to not to exceed amount on there, whether you want the radar or not, but.
If I could ask for anything,
Yes.
I think maybe a second option possibly. I know this looks like the Cadillac version, but maybe a second option. And I'd also like maybe some narrative from Public Works on what dynamics are involved, since if these are installed, they will be installed outside of our jurisdiction. What, if any, assistance or interlocal are we going to need to be doing that?
He had to talk to Cook County or anybody that he was waiting to see what you guys decided to do. So
Okay,
And one other thing, the radar control, it's in such a short area that that data would really not do any good for us. Because any speed that causes an accident, it's either weather-based or anything else, so the speed itself is not really contained of what would happen in the accident, because any speed when you got to control that corner in such a tight, small area. So I would recommend that you do not purchase the radar, because there's no functionality for the police to do a study on it. That's what our radar normally would say, other than if the speed, any speed's gonna be too fast if you're to go off the road. Yeah, if you understand what I'm saying, because the speed is always, it's yield according to weather and everything else.
I would imagine, especially with the S curve, you'll get most of them at 25, and then you'll get that one that missed the S curve at 60.
Sitting in the drink.
Yeah. I think if to clean it up, if maybe the council wants to give a not to exceed, that way we can pursue and move forward without delay, but go back to.
How much would it be without the radar?
Looks like, from what I'm seeing, just the chevrons, it looks like, as you can see, the 4 chevrons, the old, I see a 1,000, 5,000. I don't have an exact number, because I didn't know, we didn't really add up exactly what.
Okay, the 5,000 would cover.
I think that would just cover the chevrons. I don't think it would cover the warning, because there is a warning light on this.
Okay.
Yellow, before you get to the chevron.
Well, maybe
So we want to make the motion not to exceed 5,000?
or do you want to just make it, I mean, again, higher, since I don't think we're sure on the math right now, if that's okay.
Well, looking at here, again, that we're using the term Cadillac option, it looks like that was 15,791.38. And so if we make it not to exceed that, we know it'll be less because we're gonna lob off the radar.
Okay, so what is your motion?
Not to exceed.
Yeah, make a motion to approve the TAPCO signaling for the 81st X curve at the recommendation of Jeff Dvorak, not to exceed $15,791.38.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Starkey.
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
Patrick. Chase.
Aye.
Matt Ludwig.
Aye.
Gary Tennis.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have board and commission appointments. We do not have any applications for Economic Development Commission. We do have one for the Utility Board, and you have before you the candidate information sheet for Alex Baker. Do I have a motion to appoint him to the Utility Board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
You gonna say something about?
Oh, no, I was just going to make a note that you would be on the board as an independent.
Yes, yes.
Starkey.
Aye.
Mary Tim.
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Terrace.
Aye. We do not have anyone for the Board of Zoning Appeals. We do have someone for the Historical Preservation Commission. And that would be Tom Clark. Do we have a motion? Pardon me?
I will make that motion.
Happiness.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I mean, Tom Clark just retired from Lake Central after 40 years of teaching. And that's a good thing. So we all know him. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim.
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Terrace.
Aye, gleefully. Last one is the employee health insurance.
Given the earlier presentation, I think at this point we would ask for a motion for myself to continue with our agent and Cigna to finalize the deal for no more than 5% increase on the health insurance, employee health insurance. The renewal is expiring March 31st, so we do have to get this wrapped up in a timely manner. So,
Okay, so you're asking for a motion to approve the employee health insurance?
yep, not to exceed a 5% increase.
Yep. A motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob Starkey,
Aye.
Mary Tim,
Aye.
Patrick McShane,
Aye.
Annette Ludwig,
Aye.
Mary Terrace.
Aye. Any and all, do we have any and all?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. May we have your name and address, please?
James Cardinal, 1624 Briar Crossing Drive.
Thank you.
It seems like the trains control this town. You live over by me, trains are going by there 24 hours a day, east and west. Is there anything we can do about sound blocking some of that noise?
By the EJ&E, that is.
Yeah.
By Central Park.
Oh.
Is at the end of Central Park, basically, at
Right,
it all.
right.
Yep, yep.
Okay,
I don't think that's under our control, though. I may be mistaken, but I don't.
you may have to work with the rail company. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying.
Okay.
Because it's going all night long. It's hard to sleep. Especially in our subdivision, it rattles around.
You mean the noise of the train or the horns?
Click clacking, the horn, the bright lights at night.
Sure, we change this.
Yeah, I know. In a couple of years, I know they had put in the evergreens near
Right.
Hearthstone, and that was something that was worked out, and I think they did pay for that. But I don't know if it's working because I'm not right there to help this
I'm
out.
just wondering because that's,
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
you know, because
It is
it's gotta be something you can put up there, trees or a board or something to
Right.
reflect it back toward the trains.
And the trees originally, that was a
E&J
grant.
train, I already
Yeah,
know what it
yeah,
was.
Yeah,
Right,
It was not used at all.
so
there could be something.
can we direct the town manager to contact them and see if there's any adjustments they can make?
Absolutely. I mean, just from being a realist on it, I'm really not sure there's any solution that's going to help you on that one.
I'm just saying
would love
half
for-
and half, you're putting them in the town, you know what I'm saying? Something to block that sound 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know at one point in time, and I think it's going on 18 years, but when I first moved into the subdivision, there was only very little. I mean, the trains weren't running as much now. They've opened it up. They have it.
There was one train
Exactly.
or two a week that
Right,
came from the
now it's
mills.
loud.
Yeah.
It's, they're bumping constantly. The horns are going in the middle of the night, which I thought they was supposed to stop. But they are, I know, because I'm right there. I'm right off of Calumet, so I know and I hear it.
Yeah. And I feel sorry for the
Ones that are
The
close.
college is right next to the train.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we appreciate your comments, and you're right, it is noisy. But we can direct the town manager to see if he can contact them and see if there's any adjustments that they can make.
And that would be greatly appreciated, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Somehow,
Something.
you gotta find some way to block some of that
So.
sound,
Yeah, by landscaping or something.
and if the pool's gonna go down there like they say with the park, heaven forbid,
Yeah,
all the kids coming out by those trains.
sure. We appreciate your comments. Thank you for joining us. Any and all? We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second,
I second.
all those in favor, voice vote. And we will continue right along with the Dyer Redevelopment Commission meeting. We have before, is there any citizen input on the RDC? Seeing none. We have the consent agenda, including the minutes of the January 18th, 2022 Redevelopment Commission meeting and claims totaling $167,518.54. Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye, thank you. 5-0 votes. We have project acquisition updates.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think that's my turn here. As mentioned earlier, during the road projects portion of it, Central Park Boulevard and Calumet Avenue was reported to you at 1.2, 1.5 for the engineer's estimate. I believe that the rendition that Neil had spoke about is exactly the solution we were looking for. I think it's crucial to kind of get that infrastructure put in before we really try seeing full development there. So this is something I would like to seriously put on our radar to try to get some kind of funding. This will probably be a RDC/TIP project.
Yeah.
And I think the project cost, I don't normally say this, but I think it came in a little bit better than I thought it would come in, including the signalization. There is some purchase in there and some lane expansion. So Calumet Avenue Bridge, I've recently gone up there to view this project that Neil just presented, and I really noticed that the bridge itself is getting to be like faded paint wise. And the top of the bridge is not too attractive. I think a great project to maybe some options to beautify that with some flagpoles, some trees up there itself. It's pretty much going to be aesthetics only at that point. It's not going to be anything for the sound buffers that we just talked about, but maybe something on a decline to take your eyes off of the Coparts.
Right.
So I'd like to put something together for you in the near future for consideration, more of on a beautification type of project for that.
And you mentioned the flags, having the flags up there as well. By the way, one of the flags is down over here too. I noticed the other day.
The American flag over here, yeah.
Yeah.
We also, during this project with Neil and our staff yesterday, we kind of looked at the aerial when that intersection is going to need to be redone and talking about projects in that area. Wouldn't mind getting some direction to get an appraisal on the house that's right next to Symphony at this point to kind of see if we can acquire that with this project for widening the road there. And there's going to be a deceleration lane needed on that side. So
I'm sure he's waiting.
would just need a direction from RDC so that we could get the appraisals and everything under the RDC realm here.
Do you need a motion to?
I would like a
appraisals?
motion, but you know what I will do? I'll skip down to make it so we can do one motion. I'd also like the direction to get appraisal started for the 3 houses that are on 213th Street.
Okay.
Director Lane had spoke to all 3 of them. 2 are lukewarm.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to the families.
So I think knowing the appraisals would be nice to moving forward on that one. So if I could get a motion to start appraisals on the 3 houses on 213th Street between Calumet Avenue and the new fire station, and then also the house located next to Symphony, just so that we have it for.
So we have 4 houses.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Mary.
Aye.
Another update on the project pavilion is moving forward. As you know, the vendor was selected for the pavilion. We are being delayed temporarily for getting it signed off by an engineer for structural. So it needs to be sent down the state to be stamped for a structural engineer since it's a public pavilion. We don't think this will impact the mine that we put April 1st as being open for business. But that's just an update for you. As we sat down as a staff and talked about some exciting new projects that RDC/TIF could get into, Gettler Street popped in our head. As you know, we removed the house, raised the house, and Gettler Street in and of itself is in pretty poor condition, so it needs to be put on the radar. If you throw it into this projects that Neil presented earlier, you're talking 2025-ish, even if it got bumped to the closer to the top. We're really thinking this needs to be a TIF project completely because of given the area, and that we would like, Neil is going to do four samples on Gettler to see if we can get away with a grind and resurface from Route 30 all the way to John Burge, all the way to Stack, turn the corner, do some curbs and make it a nice, pleasant area. We're hoping that those samples are going to allow us.
Right. That road is so bad.
It is.
Yeah. And it would be a big improvement, especially when you're coming into Dyer and you see that road, and do they take care of their roads or not?
It would be a very, very big impact too, if we could recondition just a little bit of the parking in that area. And now that the house is gone and the curbs are absent or deplorable. So that's something again, if we put it on the projects, I can't see it being in line until 2025, but I think it's so crucial soon.
Yes.
We'll come up with some kind of estimate.
Correct.
Dave, I just have a question.
Yes.
The White Pen building that is coming down soon.
Yes.
Is that 2025? Did you say? No.
Well, I will tell you this, the original was 2025.
Yeah.
The original one was 2025, but just for us, they're taking it down this year. It did hit a snag. They were required to get an additional permit to remove it. They've applied for that permit, and it should not be a major delay. Still should be within the next couple of weeks.
We heard this. Like the 12th of never.
We should have hired the town of Dyer. Yeah, we would have had, we offered.
Dyer Construction?
Yeah, we offered. Speaking of, Frank and I did meet with the hospital, the CEO at the time, and just about some concerns. There is some legislation coming up that's not going to be too friendly to hospitals as far as bill collecting. Worst case scenario, if these bills do get passed, it's going to have a major impact on operations for every hospital in the area. As of right now, there still is a focus for the Dyer campus to be a very productive part of the Franciscan network. We talked about wanting to partner on everything that they could identify. We also mentioned that we have some public projects that we would really love to partner with Franciscan on, and she said, give me a list. So we're creating a list of stuff that we could see around town that would benefit not only us, but Franciscan being a major employer in our town. I think they're the largest consumer of our water on the water side of that. Is that true, Frank? Yeah. Yep. So being a good neighbor and a good partner, we're going to start working with it and see what we can come up with.
And I think everybody looks at Crown Point and thinking that's the same group of Franciscans, but it isn't. So.
Yep. It is the same group. She confirmed that.
Really?
Yes. So Crown
That's
Point.
good news.
Yes, Crown Point, Dyer. I want to say Michigan City and Munster is her group.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
That is all I have on the RDC report.
Okay, we have potential redevelopment.
Yes. Probably got ahead of myself on B because I think I covered almost everything I can even have. But A, Director Lane and I were talking in the staff meeting the other day, and just wanted to throw out there Sunnyside Avenue again. It's a residential street that is used quite often to cut through during high traffic times to Lake Street, to some of the businesses down there. we would like to probably do an unofficial poll of the residents to see if they would be really, really upset if we closed Sunnyside off and turned it into just a cul-de-sac on that end. I know it would cause the residents to have to come around a little bit longer, but in exchange of that, it would be a quiet street for them. We could block it off with a permanent barrier, nice landscaping, and Brian, if you have any input, I'm not sure it would be a marketable lot for us to say that there's development on it, but we could definitely make it a different look there.
I think the residents, I think they're gonna like it, because they
were here
very
before,
right,
right?
they were all
That's
here
what they-
years ago requesting it, wanting it. I was thinking, cause I drive down Lake Street every day to go home. I live on Cozy Lane over there, and I was thinking one day I'm just gonna go there and take a video and just show you the cars coming off the Sunnyside in Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and if you watch, sometimes they don't even stop, because a lot of them are people coming in from Illinois going into Hattaday. Because Hattaday has a switch over at 330, and you don't realize how many people work at that Hattaday on Lake Street until you sit there at 330 and watch them pull out like 500. So I just think it's something to look at, and I was thinking maybe if we go to that corner, out for a week or something, at 3:30, and just get an idea, you know, what's it like, how many cars are coming.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure during the day it's really quiet on that street, but sometimes, I mean, it's backed up from the stop sign at Lake Street on Illinois all the way to Sunnyside, and that's just not a lot of houses.
Yeah, I think it's the best move that we talk to the residents and see what their feelings are.
Yeah.
My first priority.
So as long as you're supportive of that, we will get that info and forward it back. I would go one more and I'll work with Chief Alcott. He's always been a great partner to us in our initiatives. If we can maybe get the data sign over there so that Brian doesn't have to stand out there with a piece of paper and a pen. Maybe we can get if you have a spare one to put out there for a couple of weeks just to count the cars. Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Do that and the time of the days for that. Yeah. Okay. And then Kaiman Avenue B, I believe we covered everything. You know what, short of that, we didn't cover everything. I apologize. You had a development that came before you that did not receive a lot of support on it. So what I was really thinking as an RDC, we probably should select what we would like to see there as a council for you guys, and we could then forward that saying, bring us these developments.
Yeah.
We talked about some retail with combined condo living above it. We talked about, you know, example of, I like this section of this area. I think we should probably identify a couple of those so that when someone approaches us, we can distribute that and say, this is what we are looking for.
Right.
This is what we will accept, you know, as a future project here.
And hearing from the other council members, we all have pictures of places that we've seen that are appealing, and taking pictures of it. So we pretty much have in mind what we like.
Yeah, and there's a handful of examples. I know, Dave, you had talked about one, Broadway Summit.
Yes.
Is an excellent example of, you know, again, when these
Mhm.
developers come and say, hey, we want to do something. If
Right.
we already had our portfolio and said, these are the half a dozen things we're looking for.
Exactly.
You know, so that way in the future, we don't have, you know, 500, 600, 800 plus, you know.
Yeah. So if you forward your pictures,
Yeah.
have some ideas.
If anybody wants to
And we can share 'em.
forward anything as you're driving around your travels forward, I'll
Right.
try to put together a collection and I'll go out and get some with Brian. We'll get some around the area as well. And we'll put together like a little portfolio of this is what we envision
Yeah.
our Calumet Avenue corridor to look like. We welcome friendly development. And
Yes.
Brian had a suggestion.
Well, Dave, we're gonna set up a meeting in the next week to meet with the property owners to let them know, because a lot of developers will come to them first and say, hey, we'd like to do this. We're gonna let them know. You know, the last couple you've sent our way have been 800-900 apartments. There's no use to go through this again.
No.
I mean, even if to me, I don't care if they were $1 million to rent a month, that many apartments changes your population by a
Yes.
percentage you just can't handle. The school couldn't handle it, the police, I mean, it would just,
Utilities.
Utilities. Yeah, that's what I thought at first.
even though it's supposed to become pipe it right to the plant. And granted, we all know there's probably gonna have to be some residential to add some more, just like anywhere, but man, that's an awful lot.
Yep.
Even a quarter of that to me is way too much.
Well, I think if half of those units just had one kid, it would increase the population to Protsmond by 50%.
Yep.
I mean, certainly Protsmond can't handle it. We know Bibbage can't handle
Right.
it because they're,
Yeah.
working out of trailers. You know,
Taylor would never be able to handle
no,
that.
and so.
No, I think we're all hearing it loud and clear, so we'll get together some pictures.
Okay, just forward all your pictures to Town Council.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any at all? Motion for adjournment?
Oops.
You have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank